Mm, yes. Greetings, R. Frederick Riddle here, and I've got a couple of news items I want to cover with you. But first of all, first things first, I'm R. Frederick Riddle, and this is Christian News and Views. And this is episode 67. Like I said, I have a couple of items I want to discuss with you. And there are a couple, actually, these are opinion pieces. Uh, the one here is Donald Trump's bigger China cyber threat isn't TikTok. Most of you are aware of that battle, but there's one bigger. And then we have Congress should pass the Trafficking Survivors Relief Act. So I want to talk about these, and what I'm going to do is quote from the articles, and then I'm going to give my opinion. I may insert an opinion here or there, but you'll know that it's an opinion. So let's look at the cyber threat. So the article begins with this: if a conflict between the United States and China were to emerge, potentially over Taiwan, Americans would have a far more serious threat to their everyday lives than TikTok propaganda. In a worst case scenario, they may not be able to put gas in their cars or turn on their lights. That's an attention getter. Chinese hackers are burrowing into the networks of major critical U.S. infrastructure, including energy grids, water treatment plants, and transportation networks. These cyber intrusions are part of a plan for Beijing, if it wants to, and quote, land low blows against civilian infrastructure to try to induce panic and break America's will to resist. I'm going to read that again. These cyber intrusions are part of a plan for Beijing, if it wants to, land low blows against civilian infrastructure to try to induce panic and break America's will to resist. This is from FBI Director Christopher Wray. He made this statement actually last April. In other words, these keyboard warriors are gearing up their ability to bring crucial aspects of American life to a screeching halt. That'd affect you and me. I'm going to skip a little bit here. It goes into some more detail than I have time to really get into. It does talk about, as the government was still investigating the extent of this cyber espionage campaign by a group dubbed Volt Typhoon. The White House confirmed in December that another outfit called Salt Typhoon was able to breach major U.S. telecom giants. So it's ongoing. Okay, moving along here. It talks about, well, let's see. Let's read this part here. The recent barrage of cyber espionage, which Beijing has officially denied any involvement in, represents a massive and embarrassing U.S. failure. America will never come out on top of a tech war with China if it can't protect even basic civilian infrastructure or government devices from such hacks. Despite the high risk of potentially dramatic consequences, the vaguer aspects of cybersecurity have never been a particularly sexy rallying point in Washington. Tangible targets like TikTok and even the 2023 Chinese spy balloon easily suck much more oxygen and attention from the public. But protecting and countering Beijing's sophisticated and invisible cyber espionage campaigns will ultimately emerge as incoming President Donald Trump's biggest China test. Here's another thing. The U.S. is starkly outnumbered in this battle. Beijing-backed hackers exceed the FBI's cyber agents by at least 50 to 1. Wray has repeatedly warned lawmakers, adding that China has a bigger hacking program than every other major nation combined. Countering such threats will take significantly more investments in manpower and building out teams exclusively focused on this risk. It will also require significant collaboration with the private sector. And so it gets into that, dropping down here. The threat of Chinese cyber assaults is nothing new, but it's now apparent that they're no longer just targeting intellectual property from companies or data related to political campaigns. Hackers previously revealed their motives when they fell for a so-called honeypot trap set up by the FBI, quickly stealing information related to controlling infrastructure systems while ignoring financial and business-related data. It's become clear that Beijing's hackers are gearing up for conflict and cyber warfare. The U.S. cannot afford to be caught flat-footed. Now, it's a much more extensive article than that, but what I read you is alarming. It's cyber attacks. That's serious business, folks. That will it will attack our entire nation. It'll bring things to a screeching halt, which will affect you and me. These attacks are constantly becoming more sophisticated. And this will only be curtailed by a government and private sector cooperation in waging war on these hackers. They're going to have to hire more agents. Might solve some of the unemployment they have. Help lower that. Put people to work. Put them to work against what is really, we talk about being invaded. This is an invasion, a large-scale invasion that touches every one of us. And so I think that this article is spot on. They need to do it. They need to get talking about it. Yeah, okay, take care of something like TikTok. That's important. I grant that. But at the same time, turn your focus on China and the attacks that they are already doing. And we need to protect our country. I think that that's going to be something we're going to hear about more as time goes by. And so, is this something that we should be concerned about? Absolutely. Is this something that Donald Trump should be concerned about? Absolutely. Is this something that we can do something about? I hope so. Because if we don't do anything about it, or our attempts are pitiful, then the freedoms that you and I enjoy could very well disappear in a rather quick time. Part of this, I think, the article doesn't cover it, but the Biden administration should have been focused on this. Christopher Wray, FBI, that was the FBI director under Biden. And they didn't really do a whole lot, at least that's been reported. And so we're in big trouble, even now. And so something's got to be done, and done quickly. The other article I have here is called Congress Should Pass the Trafficking Survivors Release Act. Now, this article is written by Helen Stiver, and she's the head of an outfit called Progressive Perspective. But she is a survivor herself of trafficking, human trafficking. So it's a very personal issue for her. And so I'm going to read portions of what she had to say. In 2000, years after I had escaped human trafficking, I was pulled over for having a non-functioning taillight. By then I had rebuilt my life. I had a great job and a nice apartment. But when the police officer pulled me over and ran my information, he found a bench warrant for my arrest. The warrant was a remnant of my past that I didn't even know existed, from back in the days when I was trafficked. After I was arrested, I was jailed for several days in Northern California and extradited via bus to Southern California, where I was jailed for several more days before being released at midnight in downtown Los Angeles. My life upended. Like many survivors of human trafficking, I have a criminal record in several different states, all due to arrests for offenses directly tied to my exploitation. I faced a relentless cycle of criminalization that hangs over my head to this day. But now there is a glimmer of hope. The Trafficking Survivors Released Act, TSRA, of 2024, which failed to gain traction in the last legislative session but is expected to be reintroduced this year, could finally offer a step forward for survivors caught in the cycle of criminalization. This bipartisan bill gives survivors a chance to clear our names by providing a pathway to vacate convictions and expunge records for nonviolent federal offenses committed under coercion. Similar release is already available for state-level offenses in many states. The TSRA builds on the promise of the Trafficking Victims Protection Act, TVPA, of 2000, which provided resources and relief to victims of human trafficking, but did not address the criminalization of victims like me. It acknowledges the complex reality that trafficking victims often become entangled in criminal activities as a direct result of their exploitation. These activities can be as simple as driving other victims to another location or, as in my case, walking to get some food, which led to my arrest for loitering for the purpose of prostitution. Traffickers then hold these criminal records over the heads of their victims, making escape seem unattainable. My own trafficker bonded me out of jail when I was arrested so I would be in debt to him. Even now, my criminal record follows me everywhere. For years, I wasn't able to vote in California because of a felony conviction. When I tried to volunteer to help other survivors of human trafficking, I was turned down because of my record. I can't work in many public-facing jobs like teaching, nursing, or social work. Other trafficking survivors struggle to rent an apartment or get a scholarship to pursue an education, making recovery all the more difficult. We're trapped, not just by our traffickers, but by the system that criminalizes us. And while expungement of criminal records is a possibility in many states, it is a difficult process. Victims must secure legal assistance and repeatedly recount traumatic experiences to strangers as they wind through the court system. Organizations like the Survivor Reentry Project provide invaluable support, but clearing a criminal record can take years, a daunting prospect for someone trying to rebuild their life. The fear of law enforcement, the stigma of a criminal record, and the overwhelming legal hurdles, create barriers for many survivors of trafficking. By passing the TSRA, Congress can affirm its commitment to justice and provide tangible support to those seeking to rebuild their lives. But clearing their records is just one aspect of this process. Housing, education, employment, health care, and community support are all essential to survivors' independence and well-being. We need comprehensive support to help survivors move forward, including legislation like the TSRA, legal assistance, and customized tools that address real needs and empower individuals effectively. I urge lawmakers to listen to survivors, understand our experiences, and act with the urgency this issue demands. Together, we can work toward lasting solutions that honor the resilience and dignity of all survivors. So, that is a very moving article. Caught my attention. And I thought, wow, what would happen if that had happened to me? Yeah, I'm a man, and we don't usually think of a man as being trafficked, but they are. Not to the extent of women, and perhaps not to the as traumatic. Although human trafficking is traumatic any way you look at it. A lot of places are already are trying to watch these. We have a resort here called Sunseekers Resort. They have pushed uh, within their own business the idea of um, stopping. Apparently, human traffickers like to use hotels, the hospitality business. But that's not the only area that they use. They will kidnap people. They will do all sorts of things uh, to get the workers they want. And they'll go after adults, men and women. They'll go after children, boys and girls, maybe even younger. So the idea is this is something that there are outfits out there now taking the fight, but by themselves they're outnumbered. They're fighting a battle, and they are making an impact. But this act sounds to me like it's reasonable. Now I'm not an expert on it, so you might be. But the thing is, something's got to be done. Something got to be done quickly, and this act that they're talking about sounds to me good. I think it certainly should be examined, looked at if there are problems with them, correct them, and get this thing passed so that they can actually, people can, men and women, boys and girls can reclaim their lives and live the kind of life that you and I think of as normal. So, I'm not a progressive, nor have I ever been confused for one. And this name of this outfit is Progressive Perspective. So, but just because she's a progressive and it's with the name of the outfit is Progressive, doesn't mean that this is not a good thing. It means it should be looked at. Many a time, progressives, liberals, and so forth that we don't, people like myself don't normally identify with, will come up with some good ideas. And then the conservatives get on board with it and they find ways to make it come about without violating the Constitution, without violating conservative principles and things of this nature. And this is a bipartisan bill. And so this is something that I think needs to be looked at, something that needs to be discussed. And if there's anything wrong with it, fix it. If there's nothing wrong with it, pass it. And for the president to sign it. And get that help out there. So that not only can these people be rescued, but then they have a chance for a normal life. So are the solutions offered the right solutions? I don't know. I simply don't. But it's a starting point. And that, folks, is what I believe. These two articles. One, the cyber attack. We need to counter it. The other is Trafficking Survivors Release Act. It needs to be, I don't, like I said, I don't know if there's anything wrong with it or not, but it needs to be, in some form or another, needs to be passed so that there can get some help out there and get it out there quickly. Now, have you enjoyed this? Me reading these articles and making my comments about them? Well, if you have, then I invite you to like this channel right here down below here. Just click on it and subscribe to this channel. And by subscribing, you not only ensure that you have access to both my podcasts, Christian News and Views, and my other podcast is called Becoming a Published Author. It is fun. That is where I give free information that you can use now to help you as a writer, to improve your writing, have a chance to get published, and to market your book. And so I give all sorts of information out. It's all free. That's brought to you by the Basic Authors Training, which is a course that teaches and coaches you to become a published author, to transform you from just being a writer to being a published author. Or perhaps you know how to write and you simply, you're a Christian serving in your church in some function. I don't care if it's pushing a broom. I don't care if it's mowing the lawn, or singing in the choir, or working in the office, or preaching, whatever it happens to be. If you're a Christian serving in your local church, and you know how to you know how to write, and you either have or are in the process of writing a book, then ministry publishing is for you. And this is a program where I'll do a little bit of coaching, and I'll do a little bit of teaching, and we'll get this manuscript transformed from just a manuscript to a book form, and it will be published, and you will become a published author, and your book will be marketed in T&R Independent Books bookstore, and there's some other things that will work in your behalf as well. But that's what that's all about. Now, aside from that, when you subscribe, you also encourage me. Now, that may not seem a big deal to you, but when you subscribe to me, then that encourages me to continue on doing this and give you even better and better content as time goes by. And I will do all in my power to create episodes that will inform, encourage, and inspire you. That is my promise to you, my commitment to you. And so I just invite you to subscribe right over here, right down here, and it will come to your channel. I subscribe to different things, and they come right to my channel. Sometimes I follow people, and it will come right to my email inbox. So either way, take advantage of this, and you will get these. These, by the way, are daily, Monday through Friday. The Becoming a Published Author is fun. That podcast is seen on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So, you have a great day, and I will see you in the next episode.